Meeting of the Hingham Board of Water Commissioners called to order.
Recording in progress.
Going to note for the record that this meeting is being held in person and or remotely as an alternate means of public access. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law, you are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. The record will reflect that appearing for the Water Commission tonight are board members Liz Klein and Julie Straley and Chair William Ramsey. I'm going to turn the advisory committee to open your meeting, Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Ramsey. I'm calling the advisory committee meeting to order and adopt the language just read by the chair.
I know the Citizens Advisory Board is also hosted tonight. I don't think they have a quorum yet, but I anticipate a quorum at some point. So when Mr. Anderson arrives, we will. Oh, here he is right there.
Yes.
Mr. Anderson, would you like to call your meeting to order and adopt the language I've read regarding remote hearings?
Yes, call to order the Citizens Advisory Board meeting.
Excellent.
It's just in time.
Perfect timing. And I know you're going to adopt the language I just read as well into the record. So thank you for that. All right. So this is what's going to happen tonight. We're going to hear a presentation from Russ Tierney, our water superintendent, and then we're going to hear a report from the Citizens Advisory Board. Dave's going to present to us a summary of their findings and any recommendations they have. Then we'll take questions from the Select Board, questions from the Advisory Committee, and then we'll open up to public comment in the room and on Zoom. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Russ. Go ahead, Russ.
Thanks, Bill.
Please speak into the mic, Russ.
Oh, wow. You got a headset for me over there?
Unfortunately, no.
Can everybody see?
You put it on presentation mode?
I'm waiting. I'm not in that. That's all right. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming tonight to listen to our presentation about the water system, where we are, where we've been, and where we're headed. And then we'll have a discussion about rates after we're all done. So this is a meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners and Hingham Advisory Board. As outlined in our regulations, when we want to raise rates, we have to have this meeting to let the public know what we're doing, where we're headed, and what we're looking for. In 2019, Hingham's annual town meeting voted to authorize the purchase of the water system by a 79.4% yes vote. During the next year, the town of Hingham finalized the transaction, obtained the needed financing, and on August 1st, 2020, daily operations of the water system were transferred from the previous owners to the Ware River Water System. The Ware River Water System was set up as an enterprise fund, which is a self-supporting municipal account entity that separates the revenue and expenses of the water service from the general tax population. It operates utilizing customer and other supporting fees to cover direct, indirect costs, debt service, and infrastructure maintenance, ensuring long-term financial stability for the utility. This model allows for dedicated financial management, separating utility debt from the municipal debt, and ensuring that water fees are reinvested back into the water system. Good. What are our missions and services? So provide outstanding customer service to our customers in Hingham, Hull, and North Cohasset, while continuously supplying the highest quality water and improving the water system infrastructure. What are our services? Water treatment, distribution system operation and maintenance, billing services, customer service, 24-hour emergency repairs and response, capital improvements, public outreach and education, and water conservation. What are our key initiatives? Our key initiatives are as follows. Focus on the water quality by continuously reviewing and improving our preventative maintenance programs, annual water main replacement projects, annual water treatment plant upgrades. On June 26th, in June of 2026, we updated and improved we update and improve our GPS coordinates and GIS mapping. I'll get into that a little bit deeper later. March of 2026, we're going to finalize a new meter reading system with focus on accuracy and conservation. In January of 2027, we're going to utilize our new GIS system for asset management. In December of 2027, we're going to revise our capital study report. After doing all this work for 5 years, we're going to revise the report to focus on the areas that need to be focused on, because those do change as the years go on. In spring of 2028, we're going to have a new tank in Hull and a new pump station in Hingham. This is basically our contract operations, how it looks if you look at an organizational chart with myself and Brian up the top, down through Veolia and everybody that works for Veolia. And we also have administrative help from Liz Welsh, who does work for DPW, but she does help us out from time to time. Example of our operating budget. Our revenues are about $14,260,000. Our total expenses are about $14,253. What that includes is personal services, operating expenses, Veolia contract services, HMLP contractor services, which will be in the future starting in July, R&M hydrants, valves, and other, which is our repair and maintenance of our hydrants, our valves, anything that has to do with the water system and underground utilities, our debt service for the purchase of the water system, and our debt service for the capital improvements that we're on. Financial stability, what have we done? First 3 years, we were required to have a 1.0 debt service ratio, which is the ratio between our debt service and how much we'll have left over after our budget, so what we have for reserve funds. We met that in FY 21 through 23 to meet the requirements set forth by when we bought the system. It was required by the lenders to make sure we met those requirements. We have $1.5 million right now in retained earnings. It's about 10.3% of our annual revenue. Our goal for retained earnings is about 17.5%. We could go to 20, but we're going to stay with 17.5 until we reach it, and then we'll go from there. Capital improvements over the past 5 years, $7.1 million in distribution system and $5.2 million in the treatment facility. The MCAP, which is part of our contract with Veolia, they hold a certain amount of money, which is about $712,000 per year. We pay them over the months. They have that money for repairs in the plant, the distribution system. It's not capital work. It's all the repairs and maintaining the system. If you get down to a little bit more, I can't see it because the thing's in my way, but the distribution system was $1.7 million. So it's about 61% of the MCAP goes in the distribution system. And thanks, Art. $1.1 million to the treatment facility, which is about 39%. What that tells us is the treatment plant is actually newer than the distribution system, obviously. We do have a lot of repairs at the treatment plant, but most of our repairs are in the distribution system with the water main breaks, service replacements, and things like that. It's not always emergency stuff. It's if we find a service that's old, we want to replace it, and things like that. So that's where a lot of that money goes to with the MCAP. I lost it, Art. You got it? Interesting. Did I think about? Got it. More on financial stability. We secured a $2.7 million PFAS class action settlement. What that was is a bunch of towns got together and sued the makers of PFAS. We got in on this class act settlement, and we got $2.7 million check. That check has been earmarked aside for just PFAS treatment. So what we're doing with it right now is doing a study of the plant, which I'll go into a little more later. And we're also going to utilize that to do any upgrades that we need for the plant to meet the new PFAS regulations, which is a little further down, but we secured that. $250,000 in a GIS grant, which was part of going around, getting all GPS readings and all our assets, now putting that into our GIS system so it makes it more useful for the workers in the field, us in the office, and everybody that's trying to do design work for the town, for the Ware River water system. We also got a $750,000 lead and service inventory grant. One of the newest things, which I'm sure you guys have gotten the letters, is the state wants us to know what kind of services on the owner's side of the house. So on our side, we have documentation of just about every water service and what the material is. What we don't have is documentation of what the owners have on their side of the house. This grant allowed us to go through all of our records, digitize them, bring them into this big giant spreadsheet, build a platform where we can go in and actually enter them. So if we go into a house, we find out they have a copper service, we go onto this app, we put it into copper service, and now that's going straight into the inventory. This inventory is part of the new lead and copper rule, which is kicking off in later this 2029-ish, where we have to have this all done. Then we have to look at replacing any services that are not copper or plastic. So we have to start replacing galvanized steel and lead. The good news is we only have 7 documented lead services in the town, 2 of which we're working on replacing now. And if a resident has a lead service, we will help them replace it. If they need to put that over time, if they can't afford it right now, we will help pay for it and then just charge them over 24 months to pay for that service replacement. That's lead only, because that right now is what we have to do in accordance with the lead and copper rule. Galvanized steel, you have 10 years to replace. I don't know why it keeps doing that. You got it? Am I too far away? Nope. The up arrow? Sorry. Got it? Continuing with water quality. So per in polyfluoroalkyl substances, which is PFAS, the Mass DEP MCL is 20 parts per trillion. Right now, the Ware River water system's running average is 5.12 parts per trillion. So we are well below the Mass DEP regulations. The new regulation, if you look at this graph right here, the red line is actually the DEP MCL. This yellow line is our average. So we're well below. Every quarter we take these samples. If we exceed 10, we go to monthly sampling, but right now we've never exceeded 10, so we're doing well. And it's a rolling average, so if we do exceed 10 in one quarter, it's not until we go in that as a rolling average to go over the 10. So if we do have a 10, we still have more time to make that up so we don't have to go to monthly sampling. Water quality. The Ware River water system is in full compliance with the current lead and copper rule requirements. Our continued sampling under these current rules show that our water system is below action levels. The Ware River water system exceeds the requirements set forth by Mass DEP on lead in schools. What the Mass DEP requires that you sample a certain number of schools every time you sample. And if you do on a 3-year schedule, a school could get sampled every 12 years. So we decided to be proactive and we sample every single school that has children in it in this town every time we sample every 3 years. So we take samples there and we just pay for it on our own and then we report those back to the school. In 2024, our lead results were 0 milligrams per liter. The action limit is 0.015 milligrams per liter. Our copper results were 0.47 milligrams. The action limit is 1.3. So again, the Ware River water system meets or exceeds the Mass DEP sample requirements as outlined in our 3-year water quality sampling schedule. More on water quality. Sampling is focused on raw water, finished water leaving the plant, and distribution system parameters, which include total coliform bacteria. Again, we meet and exceed all those requirements. These parameters in our own in-house process control sampling provide our operators information on the treatment process. So we actually take them every 3 hours or 2 hours in the plant. We have our own lab where we take samples and we continuously watch and monitor what's going in and out of the plant. This allows us to make adjustments on our chemical. We're not overdosing, we're not underdosing, and it just keeps everything running smoothly. Periodically, our customers will see discoloration in the water system. This is caused by several factors and is not an indication of the quality of drinking water leaving the water treatment facility. It is absolutely not an indication of that. It's in the distribution system. Operation and maintenance programs like unidirectional flushing, hydrant and valve maintenance, and main replacement programs are key factors in these occurrences. Just for information, sediment disturbances. Sediment disturbances and accumulated iron and manganese in the system. Naturally occurring minerals like iron and manganese settle in the pipes over time. Changes in water velocity, such as from hydrant flushing, firefighting, or heavy demand, stir up these particles. And that's what everybody is seeing. System maintenance and breaks. A water main repair, valve work, construction activities can also have sudden pressure changes as we're operating valves to do this work. Again, that can also dislodge sediment from the mains. What are you seeing when you see yellow, brown, or red color tint in your water? That's an indication of rust and iron and some manganese. If it's black, it's 100% manganese. If people have that in their water at any time, just call the office, send an email to our water quality email. We'll send someone out right away to open up a couple hydrants just to bleed off that manganese that's been disrupted from the bottom. A milky cloudy is usually caused by trapped air in the pipes. A lot of people don't see that unless we have a really high demand in the higher level elevations. But if you see that in a high elevation house where you live, then please, again, just call the office. We can go up there and see what's going on. Maybe something's closed that's not allowing the water to get up there and causing a little air pockets here and there. I'm going to turn this over to Brian for 5 minutes, give my voice a break and give you guys a break from me.
There'll be questions at the end, sir.
No, it's just a comment about,
There'll be questions at the end. Yeah.
the Zoom is not available to some people. That's what I'm
Oh,
getting.
okay. All right, hold on. Can we see if you can work on the Zoom? We checked the Zoom. Looks good.
All right. Hello, everybody. I'm Brian, Russ's assistant. Thanks for having me. I'm just going to briefly go over our distribution system OEM. So we maintain over 200 miles of water main and 12,500 service connections. We repair 25 to 30 water main breaks and service leaks annually. We inspect 1,150 fire hydrants, and we maintain them manually as well. We replace or repair 10 system gate valves per year, and 15 hydrants are replaced, and there's been 100 replaced since we took over. This fall, we started our annual system-wide unidirectional flushing program. I think it went very well. We started down in Hull. And part of that is also this 3,200 system gate valve inspections. And, there's 3,200 system gate valves. We inspect 310 a year, which is really important for that program because it only works if your valves work. Treatment plant, it's a 7.2 million gallon per day treatment facility located 900 Main Street here in Hingham, and it was built in 1996. We treat and distribute 1.2 billion gallons of potable water from 11 water sources, including Ackerd Pond. This is a picture of the new centrifuge that was put in. It uses a lot less electricity, a lot more efficient than the older ones. And we recently had the pipe galley painted. As you can see, a couple before and afters. Was not looking too hot before, and I think it came out really nice. Just a couple more pictures of that, along with some new filters and media in the plant as well. This is one of the wells. We rehabbed the shed around it, painted the fire hydrant. And capital improvements so far, it's been 23,500 linear feet of water main upgrades, about 2.2%. It's done 12,745 linear feet of that was the master plan recommendations. 6,000 linear feet created loops that helps improve overall water quality. 84 new fire hydrants to improve fire protection, and 18 new gate valves that improve system control. I'll hand it back over. Thank you.
So one thing we want to make clear about our O&M services, those hydrants and valves that are done through that are done through the contract. We also do additional hydrants and valves and capital work and things like that. So it's not the only ones we're doing, but we just want to give everyone an idea of what Veola's responsibilities are to the town with the water system. Future plans. The need for a new water storage tank within the Ware River Water System distribution system was priority one in our master plan. So when we did the master plan in 2022, that was the first thing on the list, was a new tank. After reviewing what was proposed prior to us purchasing it, we realized that the tank was not only undersized, the tank was also could not be fully utilized the way it was constructed and designed. We immediately went in and did a new entire study, hydraulic model, and study to make sure that what the money we're investing uses that to the best of our ability. What we did find out is we made a separate pressure zone. So we're going to have 3 pressure zones going forward after this tank is done, because the best way to get this tank 1 million gallons in Hull and make it utilized properly and be a large benefit to the town of Hull and North Cohasset is to make it its own separate pressure zone. What this does is gives us water redundancy, water system redundancy. Currently, we have 1 tank in the entire main service, which is Turkey Hill. Turkey Hill has not been rehabbed since the day it went up. That tank desperately needs to come offline and be completely rehabilitated. It won't be replaced, it'll be rehabilitated, which means we'll strip it, we'll paint it, clean the inside, make some repairs to it, and then put it back in service. What will it do for Hull? It will significantly increase the available fire flows in Hull and North Cohasset and their AFF safety margin. They have a low AFF safety margin, which is an insurance thing. We need to improve that for the residents in Hull. Hingham's is fine. Hingham's is 100% fine. It's going to improve insurance to serve the ISO rating. Their ISO rating is low. That's the other one with the insurance. Water quality improvements. Currently, they get water all the way from Turkey Hill tank. It travels all the way down. By the time you get to the end of Hull, the water has aged pretty much, I would say significantly, but it's aged enough where we don't like the quality of the water. And not that it's bad. It's the temperature's a little high. It's at a place where we could have issues if we weren't always on top of it. Pressure stabilization. Currently, the way the system is designed, we get high fluctuations of pressure. We purchased some pressure gauges, which I have in here also that we're working on, and it showed significant spikes from the plant down to the end of Hull. Well, the reason why is because we're putting out so much pressure at the plant to get to Hull, it causes all these problems. This tank will now stabilize that pressure and in turn reduce the number of water main breaks. And additional flow capacity for flushing and high flow demands like a fire. A water booster station, pump station was required to fill this tank to capacity and utilize it, again, exactly how it should be done hydraulically. So we have now got a site in Hingham to fill the tank. We went and looked at 7 different sites. This was the best site for this, the most effective, the easiest to put on it, and we already have all of our approvals from the town of Hingham to put it there. Again, it will reduce water hammer in the system. Water hammer is a part of a water system where if something changes direction or if there's a water main break, the hammer could actually cause even more problems than just that additional break. So water hammer is a big problem around here because of the fact that we do not have a tank in Hull. It could also potentially reduce the chlorine levels at the plant. One of the things that we looked at, and I was very hard on our engineers about, was can we add chlorine to the booster station so we can reduce the chlorine coming out of the plant? We have to maintain a certain chlorine level. So we do get complaints about the odor chlorine. We need to maintain that level so that we don't get bacteria in the water system. With this new booster station, we're adding in a chlorine injection system where we now can reduce the chlorine going in at the plant and then bump it up at the booster station. So now instead of having 2.0 in the system, we can cut it down to 1.2, 1.1. Then everybody has the same amount and it's not high right around the Turkey Hill tank or the treatment plant. Future plans for improvements. The Route 3A Rotary Summer Street project that Mass DOT is doing. We had a meeting today. These dates changed a little bit today because of Mass DOT hasn't approved our permits. We are working on that with our engineers to get that done. So we did get pushed out a little bit into maybe September to start construction. But again, we're on track. We're designing it. We're at 78% design, and that's a project for next year. Manamet Ave and Samoset Ave, the town of Hull wants to completely reconstruct those 2 roadways. It's about 11,200 feet of 8-inch ductile iron water main. We were already designing it. I promised Hull that we would design it now. We would keep it in the draw, and as soon as they're ready, we'll put it out to bid and then do that job also. Then Main Street. Main Street in Hingham has had a couple major water main breaks over the past couple years. We did do some serious investigation over there. Brian and a couple of engineers were out there for a couple of days. We found a couple closed gate valves. We opened those gate valves and the pressure fluctuations dropped significantly. So we are confident that that should stop these main breaks on Main Street. But again, we will keep a close eye on it. And we're going to do some other work to have a actually continuous monitoring system during the summer so we can always keep our eye on Main Street. It's the only one in town, the only area that we've seen this happen where there's been some significant fluctuations in pressure and it cracks a 12-inch water main, which is about 1.25 inches thick. So we're going to keep our eye on that. PFAS capacity study. I was just talking about the PFAS money. We took the PFAS money and have a capacity study / are we going to be able to meet the 4s? So in the future, there are 2 PFAS chemicals that you're going to have to do 4 parts per trillion. Currently, we're 20. They've decided that those 2 need to be a 4. Currently, 99% of the time, we meet that 4 the way we are treating right now. If our carbon gets depleted, it starts to go up a little bit. So in an effort to make sure that we can meet that 4 by 2031, we're doing this study. We're going to look at the plan on how we can improve the plant and maybe add carbon filters or something like that to make the plant meet that 4, which is going to be required. We have a new intake at Akron Pond. Upon the purchase of the water system, about 2 years into it, we realized that the intake that was about 300 or 400 feet out in the pond had been abandoned. They were using an intake that was closer to the shoreline. After we found this out, we took action to get it designed, and right now it's being replaced. We're going 427 feet into the pond at the best depth. We took water quality samples all over Akron Pond to find the best water quality in the pond, and this is where it's at. It's the lowest PFAS, the lowest fecal coliform, and the lowest turbidity in the pond. So we've now put our intake at the best place in the pond to take water from it. Then we're doing a raw water main analysis, part of the PFAS study. Some of our wells are have some elevated PFAS. We use those wells sparingly. However, we did have this summer where a couple of the raw water mains were not giving us enough water from that water main, so we had to switch to other wells. I brought in someone to look at those because we think there could be some kind of restriction in those raw water mains, so we're going to look at all of our raw water mains. So for people that don't understand, all of our wells and all of our sources come back to the plant on Main Street. Nothing that comes out of the wells goes directly into the distribution system. So these raw water mains are very key to the success of our water system to get us the water to the plant so we can treat it and get it out. So that's ongoing also. Main break tracking analysis. After the second break on Main Street and then 2 breaks on G Street and Hull this year, we ramped up our main break analysis. What we do is we take the main breaks and we plot them. If you look at this area right here, all these breaks, when people ask us why we did Downer Ave in Hingham, this is why. This is Downer Ave in that area, Wampatuck, that whole area. We had a lot of water main breaks there. So we did those streets to get rid of those water main breaks. Again, we're taking all this information and we're going to now update our master plan. These are Brian and my new toy. See these pressure data loggers, we can set them up anywhere in town and we go and get the data off them. They do make ones that are permanent and we can hook them up to the internet and we can go grab the data anytime we want. However, we wanted to see how they work before we invested any time or money into something more permanent. This is what found our closed water main, valve on Main Street. We set up 7 of these all around the whole downtown Hingham and we found fluctuations in pressure. And then the engineers did their thing and we pointed it down to a couple valves, checked those valves and found out that they were closed. One of them had been broken closed as far as we were aware for 12 years. And we didn't know it was broken for 12 years. That has now been repaired, replaced, and reopened. And we have vaults. There are 12 vaults in the entire water system that were put in at one time for these pressure recorders. We went around, located all the vaults. We're looking at them. Are they viable for us to use again? And we're working on that now. That's another project that we're working on. Future plans improvement drought conservation measures. Commonwealth of Massachusetts puts out drought every year, drought measures. Currently has a registered water supply, so our water supply is registered. There are water supplies that are under Water Management Act, which is controlled by the Mass DEP. Registered water systems have a little, I'm not going to call it leeway, but it's not the same thing. We don't have restrictions. We don't have things we have to meet and all those things. But the problem is we do fall under the state's drought management. Currently, we are working on a new drought management plan to match the states. So if the state's in a level 0, we're in a level 0. If the state's in a level 4, we are in a level 4. What that means to our residents is if we go to a level 2, we cut down on watering. Level 3, cut down on watering. Level 4, no watering. We are working on that right now. I have it drafted. I have not presented to the board yet, but we're going to try and implement it in the spring. It's kind of what it looks like. Level 0 is normal. Level 1 is a mild drought, 2 significant, 3 critical, 4 emergency drought. Again, we will craft different watering plans for the summer and spring based on what the state is. The other problem is this thing changes all the time. So every week I can go to a meeting or I can get the results from a meeting from the drought task force and they could change it from a 1 to a 2 and then the next week go from a 2 to a 1. So it's going to take a lot of communication and a lot of effort to make sure we're matching the state. Last year, I believe we only got to a level 1 mild drought in Hingham in this area. Just for information, a healthy lawn only needs 1 to 1.5 inches of water per week, okay? Over 2 to 3 days. Watering deeply and less frequently encourages strong growth, making your lawn more resilient to heat. So if you water your grass every day and drop an inch of water every day on your grass, the minute it goes to a drought situation, your grass is going to die because it has no resiliency. If you follow this, and anyone can look this up on the internet, I've researched the heck out of it, and this is exactly what every professional water person and lawn person says. Water it 3 times a day, but water it heavy. 3 times a week and water it heavy. That's what you do. Don't water it every single day. More for our conservation efforts. Advanced metering infrastructure. We put a bid out to look at an AMI system. What an AMI system is, it sets up the meters around the town. We report directly to a master computer in my office. No, I don't know where it's going to be, but we're going to probably put it in customer service, but we will have all access to it. What this does, this is good. This has 3 or 4 things that we're going to be able to do. One is we're going to go to monthly billing. Right now we do quarterly billing. Quarterly billing is very difficult for the water system because if someone has a large bill over 3 months, we don't know when it started. We can't even pinpoint when it started. If we have monthly bills, now at least we're capturing these issues earlier. I'm going to go one step further. we can see this every day. So I can log in, pull up Mary's address, and say exactly how much water she used the day before. It reports every 24 hours. What that does now is, if we're in a drought situation and we go to 3-day-a-week watering and I see somebody watering on that thing, we can find them. So it's definitely the way to watch and conserve water and also allow us to catch leaks faster, home issues faster, residents that leave their homes and go to Florida or something, but leave their homes active. If a water pipe breaks in their house, we will see it the next day. We'll get an alarm. I know the next day is probably not what everybody wants, but it's better than 2 months later when you come back home and your sofa's sitting up 3 feet of water on your front grass. Okay? So that's where this is going. By upgrading this, again, we can really keep an eye on water quality. Now we can also do unaccountable for water, which is one of the biggest things in our water system. When we started here, we were at 23%. We're down to 14%. With this, we can catch things even faster. So we can get under the 10%. That is actually our goal, to be under 10%. Future plans with billing. I don't know if everyone knows this, but we are moving to a new billing system with HMLP. What that means to our customers is nothing. You guys are going to get a new bill. It's going to look a little different. We will do the same thing we did when Veolia took over. We'll send out what it's going to look like, how it's going to work. What this does for us is we are going to take the savings that we get from having HMLP do our billing and put it back into the water system. Currently, we pay a certain amount of money to have our bills done by Veolia. HMLP and I have been working together for a long time, and we can do it less expensively. What that also does is there's a lot more customer service representatives at HMLP. We have 3 currently at our office. They have 6, I think. I'll just say 6. They have about 6 at their office. That gives us a total of 9 customer service representatives to talk about water, electricity, and eventually sewer in Hingham. We're currently working with our vendors to combine electric, water, and sewer bills. The bill looks a little crazy right now. We're really trying to work on this. So we're definitely trying to make the electric and water and sewer on one bill. If it doesn't happen, I'm sorry, but we want to make sure the bill's readable and legible. But water and sewer will eventually be on one bill. We're looking at probably July of 27 for the sewer to come over, because everybody knows in Hingham, sewer is back charged 6 months. So not back charged, you're behind 6 months. So when you get your bill, it's 6 months ago. We're going to try to bring that into the monthly billing with our bills. We want to give everyone a year to get caught up, because you are going to have a bill, and then we're going to give you another bill, and then you're going to have, like we did when we switched over the water system, there was a little extra left over from Aquarian, and you had to pay that, unfortunately. So we're going to allow people to have time to pay that portion of their sewer bill that's going to get looped into this transition. So we're working hard on it. We were going to try and do it with July 1st, 2026, but we don't want, it's going to be too much confusion. And when you make a billing change like this, you want it to go smoothly. So water goes first, and then over that next first year, we will be working on the sewer billing. What's your bill going to look like? So in July of 2021, FY22, the Ware River Water System implemented a 10% rate increase that was included in the information provided to the acquisition and final vote purchase of the water system. There's been a significant cost increase in our operations and maintenance efforts, including but not limited to supplies, materials, and labor. Even with these rising expenses, the proposed rate increase remains well within the range that was anticipated when the system was acquired. So there was a look at maybe 10% every 3 years. This is still in line with that. This is a result of our continued commitment in operating the system efficiently and responsibly on behalf of our communities we serve. What this is saying is, since 2021, so 5 years later, our operations contract went up 32%. Everybody don't jump on Veolia. A lot of that is chemicals, because the contract includes the chemicals. Chemical prices have gone way up. Water meters have gone up 45%. So the cost of a water meter has gone up 45% since the day. Water meter radios, the radios that we use have gone up 24%. Brass materials have gone up 20%. Water service pipe and ductile iron fittings have gone up 38%. Finally, our well testing and rehabilitation has gone up 15%. We test our wells every year. We do a capacity test, we clean them, we replace anything that's broken, and that cost has gone up 14%. So all these things have increased significantly since we bought the water system. And it's not just ours, it's everybody's, across the board. So here we are. In order to continue with the needed improvements, upgrades, and operation and maintenance of the Ware River water system, we're proposing the following increases in assessments to take effect on July 1st, 2026. A 3% rate increase, and then a $65 a year capital debt service assessment to single-family residents. What that CDSA is covering is the tank, the booster station, and the rehab of the Turkey Hill tank. Multi-residential, industrial, commercial, and municipal government customers will also contribute to the capital debt service. Their cost is different than the residential. It is more, and they will also be doing this. What that comes down to say is this: we anticipate the average water bill will increase about 8% with the capital charge. Now, that $65 a year capital charge is only for when we bond the tank. So once we're done, we're going to bond the money for the tank. We're going to put it over 30 years. That charge will drop off after 30 years. It will not remain on the water bills. Sometimes when you build these things into the rates, they never come out. So we want to make sure that we use that money just for that, and then in 30 years, it's going to drop off. At the same time, the cost of the water system will drop off, and I won't benefit from that, but that's okay. What is the bill? This is what a bill will look like. So as a resident, you have about 90 days on a quarterly bill. Your total usage is 36 CCFs. These are what your charges are. If you go all the way down to the bottom, your bill would be $340.81. With the rate increase and the capital deficit assessment, now it's listed as $16.25 because it's $65 per year. So that's divided by 4. It's $367.28. That's 7.2% on that particular bill. We did take a bill that we thought was very representative of the whole system, because this person, if you look at the usage, it looks like they water their grass, they do all those little things. They might have a pool. We didn't want to use a smaller bill because it's not a representation of the entire system. The Board of Water Commissioners, Town Administrator's Office, Hingham Advisory Committee, Citizens Advisory Board, and our staff would like to thank you for your continued support of the Ware River water system. We'd also like to thank our partners, the town managers and select boards of Hull and Cohasset, for their continued trust and support of the Ware River water system, provide them with water service. And we'd like to thank everybody for that. Now,
Russ, thanks very much. Appreciate
Questions?
all the effort you put into that. Let's turn to the chair of our Citizens Advisory Board, Dave Anderson. Dave, could you report out on behalf of the CAB?
Sure, I'll be quick on this. David Anderson, 31 Old Colony Road, Chair of the Citizens Advisory Board. Citizens Advisory Board reviewed the proposed rates and recommend them to the Board of Water Commissioners as part of the rate-setting process. The rationale is straightforward, as you saw in tonight's presentation. Operating costs have risen and the system has important capital needs. This proposal is intended to keep the system reliable and compliant while funding planned investments like the tank work, the booster station, and the rehab of the Turkey Hill tank. And the increases, as Russell mentioned, are consistent with the models developed at the time of the water company acquisition. So we would recommend this increase as a consideration for the water commissioners.
Great, thank you very much. All right, Russ, I'll start off with questions, and I'll turn to Julie and Liz, and we'll go to AdCom. It appears that we've seen some improvement since we've increased the frequency of the flushing program in late summer and the fall. I know we also put some emphasis on valve replacement. Can you comment on that? Are you seeing it too?
absolutely. So we've had 2 water main breaks in the past 2 weeks. I think, Julie, did you ask me if we had any water? Either Julie or Liz asked me if we had any water breaks lately, and I said, yeah. And they said, well, how? And I said, we did, because the flushing we did in Hull, we are confident worked very well. The water quality complaints in Hull when these 2 water main breaks dropped significantly. And a matter of fact, I talked to customer service and they only had 2. And a matter of fact, the 2 were way away from where the breaks were. So we're not sure if it had anything to do with the breaks. But this unidirectional flushing program, when done properly and done with the right velocity and everything, is a great scouring effort. I can say that it'll get better in Hull with the tank because we'll have a closer, water demand is there. We have the tank to support us, and the velocities will actually be even increased because the tank will be right there in Hull. Right now, we're depending on Turkey Hill tank to supply it. So that's definitely been an improvement.
Russ, thank you. Liz, do you have any questions?
Yes, thank you, Russell. Great presentation and more importantly, great work. It's
Thank
really
you.
impressive what you've been able to accomplish in the last few years. You mentioned under financial stability, the retained earnings goal of 17.5%. When do you see us reaching that goal?
With all the work we're doing, I'm going to say it's going to take another 5 years probably. We've been slowly getting there with everything, but with a couple of the projects that are coming up, we want to try to use that money to not have to come back for more increases. But, the DOT project on Route 3A is a big project. It's going to be about a $5 million water main job. And then Hull, Samoset, and Manomet about $4 million. Both are key to the operation of the system. The Manomet and Samoset are huge for Hull because the two mains on those streets are probably almost 100 years old. What we have going down is down Nantasket Ave. By increasing those to 8-inch, it allows us to have more redundancy in Hull. If there's a problem on Nantasket Ave, Samoset and Manomet will feed all the way down to the gut. Again, vice versa. So all those three streets will contribute to better hydraulics down to Hull. So they're definitely very important projects.
Good. And I know you've been following the capital improvement plan. Can you just remind us where we are, what year that plan goes through, and the current status?
So it's a 10-year plan. We've had it since 2022, and I promised everyone I would relook at it in 2027, which is 5 years. Because some of the things, like we said, we've talked about over the past year, some places look worse than others now, so we're going to revise it and redo what we think is priority.
Great. And you mentioned the PFAS class action settlement. Just want to remind people or confirm that that settlement money has to be used for PFAS mitigation. We
Correct.
can't put it towards other
Correct.
improvements. All right, I think that's all the unaccounted water.
Yep.
I know our goal, we're not quite at our goal yet. When do you see us reaching that goal?
I think it'll be, like we talked about 5 years and 5 years, so I think we should be at 10% within 5 years.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
If it goes faster, we're good.
Great. Thank you,
Yeah,
Julie.
thank you.
Thanks, Russ. Great presentation. Thank you, Brian, too. Great work. And thank you for your careful stewardship of the system and also your aggressive work on capital and improving the system everywhere you look. And so it was a great presentation to be able to see all the areas that you've worked on improvements. I just had a quick question, just want to reconfirm. When you're testing the water in the schools, you're doing it in all the towns serviced by River Water System, public and private?
Yeah, private, yes. Yep.
Okay, and you're testing for lead, and are you testing for any other?
Just lead and copper.
Lead and-
It's part of the lead and copper rule, so it's lead and copper.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Turn it over to Carol.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Russ.
Okay.
Can you tell me, how do you compare your rates to other water companies?
So I did start looking into it, and the way people have it all structured, it's really hard to compare it one for one. I think we are maybe a little higher than the surrounding towns, but we also have a much bigger water system than the surrounding towns. So service-wise, we are probably twice, if not 3 times bigger than most of the towns around us. Cohasset, I think, is probably the closest to us in numbers. Plus the infrastructure and the age of the system does really warrant that. But I do believe we're a little higher. I did ask someone to do a study for us about a month ago. They didn't get it done in time for me to talk about. So I do plan on continuing with that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think I'll turn it down to Steve and we'll walk down the line. Thank you.
What does the 3% increase mean, top line gross dollars to your revenue budget?
When I did it, it was like 750,000, I think.
Is that in the ClearGov 27 numbers already?
Yes, 27's in there. Yep, we put the revenue in there for that. Yes.
Thank you.
It's a lot. If you look at it, it's going to cover the debt service. That's basically what it's going to do.
I had the same question.
Okay.
Pass it to Brendan.
I think you've got a capital request, a warrant article as well. So money going to the new tank is the extra charge. What is the other capital money going towards?
The capital for the tank was approved a couple of years ago. The new is for through 3A project.
Okay.
That's exactly what it's for.
Okay, so that's the other piece. And about how much is that you're expecting? Of this?
4.6 was the last estimate I had.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I just need some clarity on you mentioned PVC and copper is fine for going into a house, right? For residential?
It's polyethylene, not PVC.
Okay, so
No, people do get that confused. PVC pipe is terrible for water. So
Right.
it's only rated for about 60 PSI. And that's what some people have used in the past. And those are the services that are failing, that are plastic, that PVC plastic. Ours is poly, which is polyethylene pipe, and that's rated to 200 PSI. So whenever we make sure that people are using that now going forward.
But you mentioned that the lead and the galvy has to be replaced. Lead would be the priority.
Lead's the priority, galvy's in 10 years, because some galvanized pipe has pits in it, and sometimes lead can get caught in those pits. Some of them they're saying might be lined with lead, but we have not found one yet that's been lined with lead.
And you're identifying this for the residents. They don't have to know whether or not they've got lead.
They can try, but most of them do come back and fill out a form for us. There is a form online. If you go on our website, it's the LSI inventory button. You push it. There's a form in there that says if you need help looking at your water system, your water service, just fill out the form. It goes into a queue, and then we're working on it as we get them.
Okay, thank you.
Russ, thank you. Just a question. How do you and your team prioritize water main replacement projects across the system?
So 3 ways. One is we look at break history, which was evident by the Downer Ave in that area. There was a bunch of breaks there even when I first came here. Then we look at age after that. And then after that, we look at hydraulics. So what would be a better hydraulic, for hydraulic modeling? Because if we started with hydraulics, we replace some mains that could be 40 years old that are still in really good condition, but a larger main would help us hydraulically. But we don't want to replace that right now. We want to replace the stuff that is causing us headaches. So basically that.
Nothing further from me. My question was answered.
Thank you.
Obviously, there's a lot of capital needs. And I guess sort of my curiosity is how much is it from maybe the neglect of the prior owner or just natural aging of the systems? I mean, did you get in here and like, oh boy, there's a lot.
Did I get in here and say, oh boy? Well, I can tell you the first day I got here, there was a 12-inch water main break. And Tom calls me and goes, how's your day going? I go, great. It's going awesome. And that was on Main Street. So Main Street's been my nemesis for a couple of years. It's a little bit of both. Age is a big thing. I mean, we have 100-year-old water mains in some of the streets. So it's definitely age. I'm not going to talk about anybody else, but I'm going to say this is our job, is to move forward and make this thing better. And that's what we're doing. I always have this, my theory is I don't care what anyone did before us. We're going to worry about what we're going to go forward. But yes, it has to do with both age and inability to keep on putting new things in the ground.
Yep. I just have one follow-up question. I shared with you an email from a resident, so before we go to the public, that resident was suggesting that they needed to put in, their plumber, I think, told them they needed to put in a $4,000 filter. Do you have any comments about what
Sure, that resident can call me. I will talk to them. I have no problem. But I think their number's on the thing, so I will take care of that. I was a little busy today doing this in snow.
No problem.
But what caused the problem with their fixtures was probably sediment, not the chemicals. The chemicals that we put into the water system are all put in at the plant. They're used to coagulate the water and take out the iron, the manganese, all those particulates that are in the water. It goes through our filters and goes out the door. We do add chlorine on the way out and lime. What lime does is it coats the pipes, and that's what protects you from lead and copper. The chlorine is absolutely for one thing, to make sure we don't have bacteria problems. Saying that the chlorine's eating it, that could be possible, but from the address that I saw, we don't have high chlorine residuals, and you can put up to a 4 in a water system and it won't affect anything. We do not go to a 4, but we're around anywhere from a 1.1 to a 1.8. But I think it's sediment that followed those filters. So we will talk to that resident and see what's going on with that house. Definitely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Brenda?
You referenced that it was going to be complicated to stay in touch with the state about their changing drought status.
No, it's complicated for me to tell everybody in this town what's going on. Yeah.
My question is, how are you going to keep in touch with?
Well, that's why we're going to HMLP. They have some really good ways of communicating to residents and things like that. And again, I know I said sometimes it changes weekly, but hopefully it won't change weekly. It's happened a couple times, but not a lot. It just gets, being controlled by that entity, it just makes it a little more work for us to communicate. We'll make sure we stay on it.
How many of your customers are signed up to get announcements from the Ware Water System?
Right now, last check I had was 11,000.
11,000 out of the
15, well, I'm sorry, 8,000 out of 11,000, 11,500 or something.
and HMLP? Do you know how many of their?
I don't know.
Is it going to be a shared customer?
It's
group?
no, because Veolia is responsible for the communication to those system. We will use HMLP as a conduit for like Facebook and things like that because they do a really good job at it. But Veolia is still responsible for making sure when we have a water main break or we're doing repairs because that's in their contract. But the only thing we can say to people is just register. Now, we did get a lot of complaints when we first started the water system that they were getting too many calls. We are now using a system that you can actually highlight an area. It only goes to those residents. We also have them where if it's a repair that's planned, email. So please make sure you have your phone and your email in there. Because if we're doing a hydrant on your street, we're not going to call you. We're going to email you because we're going to plan that 2 or 3 days ahead of time. That way that you'll get it 2 or 3 days prior to the work being done. And then we can do email instead and not bother people on the phone.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you. All right, any members of the public, we'll go to the room first. If anybody has a question or comment, can I ask you to come up to the lectern, state your name and address, and everybody will have 2 minutes to make a comment or ask any questions. Go ahead, sir.
John Scusieri, I'm a representative from Town Hall Citizens Advisory Board. Russ, I'd like to have a question, clarification on the follow-up for the lead and galvanized services. What's the timeline that you expect the customers to hear back from the system?
It's really,
Russ, you need a microphone.
Hold on. Yeah,
very difficult program.
but Russ, we're going to give you a mic so people can hear you at home.
John, this is a difficult program. When it rolled out last year, a lot of us went to the state and asked, how do you really expect us to do this? So what we have to do is we have to hope the residents contact us to look at it. We can't just go in people's houses, obviously. Right. Now, if we get down to about 1,000, we'll probably start making phone calls. But right now we're at about 3,000 or 4,000. So we're going to still send out those letters every year and make sure these people are trying to get us.
Just some of the comments I've heard, how long do you expect to get back to them for people who have already responded?
Oh, 2 weeks.
Okay.
2 weeks. The snowstorm set us back.
Yep.
But we've been very good about 2 weeks.
Okay. And then the other thing on the Strawberry Hill tank in Hull, is that timeline delayed from what was presented earlier? It seems like it's 2028 now.
It's a little delayed, and it's all due to just the design, the permitting, and everything.
Okay.
But
thank you.
You're welcome.
John, thanks very much. Anyone else in the room?
Good evening, everybody. David Irwin, 3 Town Way in Hull. Way back in 2001, we formed a desalinization committee in Hull. We studied it for 7 years. We brought the report to the Board of Selectmen. They decided that it was too expensive, and they disbanded the committee. I think that Hingham Water should take a look at desal. Now, everybody says, first thing they say, it's too expensive. When we did the report, I think it was Mass American was the water company. They were willing to work with us as a public-private corporation, which I'm glad we didn't do. I'm glad Hingham took over, but it was pretty much, the prices were pretty much comparable. It's power intensive. Hull doesn't have the power to do it. Okay, we need a third line in there if we were to do it. But the permitting process is very tenuous, and you have to deal with Striped Bass Association, the Lobster Association, the Clam Association. There's so many environmental things that have to be resolved. But I think we spent like $240,000 on it with Woodard and Curran. They did our report. The report is available in Hull. I have a report. But I really think you should take a look at it, because I know to connect to MWRA is very expensive. And I thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. If you want to forward the report to Russ, and he can forward it to the board, we'd be happy to look at it. Thank you for your comments.
Jerry Taverna, 6 7th Street, former Hingham resident for about 18, 19 years over in Bradley Woods. Current select board member in Hull as well. I just wanted to give my kind of feedback on our experiences in Hull. I think there have been a tremendous amount of breaks in Hull over the past year, 2 years, 3 years, brown water situations. Not ideal by any means, infrastructure, age issues for sure, but I think every time we've seen Russ come in to see us, he's been direct, genuine, answered questions. He's faced some very tough questions from the public, and probably myself a couple times. But again, I appreciate that. And I think after seeing this presentation tonight, water quality is so important in our lives that I feel more comfortable having seen everything. I'll probably go back and watch it again, to be honest. But it looks like you're really, doing a fantastic job staying on top of all the finer details. So again, I appreciate that, and I think people in Hull appreciate that and the attention. I think some of the questions coming in now, as an example, just to give you a little bit of a heads up, are probably related to Strawberry Hill. Some of the residents up there are concerned with this new structure going back up, and stability, and how far down are you going to drill for the footings and all that kind of stuff. So I'm sure we'll discuss that as we go forward. But again, I just want to give you that feedback. I think based on everything we see, it's extremely well run, and you guys have just come in recently, and when the phone rings, we get answered, and we do get responded to. So that's appreciated. Thank you.
Jerry, thanks for the comments. Thanks for being here.
Just so everybody knows, the PowerPoint presentation will be put up on the website by next week. So if anyone wants to review it, it'll be up there and it's available. But if you need it now, you can just email me real quick and I'll send it to you.
Anyone else in the room? All right, Art, can you bring up the Zoom, see if anybody has their hand up? Yep, we have someone over their hand up. Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. Let's go, Liza O'Reilly, go ahead. Name and address, please, Liza.
Hi, Liza O'Reilly, 44 Floret Circle. First of all, just a comment on the presentation. I appreciate you going to monthly billing instead of quarterly, because you mentioned you'd be able to catch leaks and breaks. This was something I was going to ask about, because I had a pipe burst and then had ServPro dry it out afterwards. So my electric bill and my water bill spiked. I got a call from HMLP due to the electric spike, but I didn't get any communication from the water company. So I appreciate that that's something you're going to do going forward. So that was very positive. The other thing you mentioned about irrigation systems, and I wanted to ask if you would consider, I noticed that Chatham, Massachusetts Water has a separate rate for irrigation systems, and they have separate meters. And if that is something that the town would, or the water company would consider, and also requiring a moisture sensitive monitors on the irrigation systems so that it only waters when that's really needed, because we know that the irrigation impacts the water supply, and we all see water systems going off even in droughts, and you even referred to it in your presentation. So is there any consideration of creating separate requirements for irrigation systems?
So bringing that point up, I know that Chatham is going through that. I've talked to a few people that are doing that. The problem with that is we have so many things right now that we have to pay for in improving the infrastructure that we would have to put a second water meter in every house. So at that cost, it's very costly endeavor to do. I'm not saying I haven't thought about it, but it's definitely something a little bit more in the future. Getting in this AMI system will allow us, like I said, we'll be able to see people that are watering when they're not supposed to be, so then we can actually take action on that. But I do appreciate you bringing that up, because Chatham, I was speaking to someone about it just 3 days ago, and they're talking about how they have to go in every single house and put a water meter in. Again, not saying that's not something in the future, but it needs to be put on hold for right now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Liza, thank you. Art, could we go to Ann Murray? All right, Ann Murray, go ahead and name and address, please.
Hi, C. Ann Murray, 1 Summit Avenue in Hull. I'm not trying to be in stealth mode. I've got a new laptop I'm trying to figure out, so you'll get my audio, not my visual. Just a couple of things. First of all, I've been following water issues back in the day with every public hearing with Aquarian and whatnot, and I know Russ wants to move on from that, but the past informs the present and the future, so we can't totally ignore where we've been and all that. I still am very concerned by the fact that 250 years ago we set up a new country based on no taxation without representation, and as a lifelong Hullonian, it sticks in my craw that we still have no, other than the advisory board, no direct representation. We don't have the right to vote for the water commissioners. And, it seems unfair when a third of our system is in Hull. So that still is something that I think a lot of Hullonians have a problem with, number one. I'm curious, as far as the breaks that have happened and the water issues, if somebody can address what percentage of those are happening in Hull versus the other communities, and how is the distribution of funding for dealing with those? Because I know in the past there were, 2/3 of the breaks were in Hull, but they weren't spending nearly as much money to fix things. So I'm just curious as to the breakout.
No problem. So first of all, the breaks, I don't have that on the top of my head, but I do have a whole break history and what towns they were in. So, and if you want to send me an email, I can give you that information as soon as possible. As far as the money goes, I looked at that a couple of years ago. We were actually a 50-50 split. With one of the projects now, we might be more of a, I'm going to say 60, maybe 55-45. But we are trying to be equal in both towns. And that's why, the tank is a big endeavor in Hull. So again, that's a lot of capital money going into Hull. That's going to really help with these water main breaks 100% because we are going to stabilize the pressure. So we got to focus on that. But then Hull did come to us with Somerset and Manomet, and I told John and everybody down there that we would definitely get it designed and ready to go. So I'm not going to say it's exactly 50-50, but it's not that far off.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing is, when you're referring to HMLP, I would caution you that you're referring to Hingham Municipal Light Plant. HMLP is also Hull Municipal Light Plant. So, you have to be careful of who you're referring to. And I'm not sure how this works out with the billing for the Hull customers.
You're correct. I will make sure I say Hingham going forward. It means nothing to Hull. I mean, not nothing to Hull. You're still going to get a bill from us. You're still going to get the same bill, same customer service, probably better. But again, it's no difference. The only big difference with going with Hingham Municipal Light and Power is we want to bring SOAR in. Then we're going to have a conversation with Hull about their SOAR billing. I think it's something that we should all talk about, but we want to get Hingham's done and use Hingham as the beta test because we have a lot less SOAR customers in Hingham than Hull, and we want to make sure this works. We want to get it to work properly and effectively and then move forward with it.
I guess my question has to do with the communication on drought status and all that, as far as will Hull customers then have to provide information to the Hingham Municipal to have the billings and information come out to us?
No, because Veolia is staying with the communications as part of their contract. So anything that comes out will still stay with Veolia.
Okay. And I would just end with a compliment and saying, one of my big issues in the past was with communication, and I was pretty vocal at DPU hearings about that with the former water company. And I just want to compliment Russ and his team that the communication has been significantly better. So thank you for that. Makes a huge difference, really.
Ms. Murray, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, could you just scroll down and make sure no one has their hand up at the bottom? Okay, not seeing anybody. Any last alibis in the room? All right, thank you all very much. Appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is public comment. So this is an agenda item for comment on any item not on the agenda. Any public comment this evening? Anybody on the Zoom? All right, with that, I would go to motions to adjourn. Let's start with the Citizens Advisory Board first. Dave, do you want to adjourn your meeting?
Yeah, I will adjourn the meeting of the Citizens Advisory Board.
All right. Would you want to take a quick vote?
Second. All in favor? Yes. Aye.
Great. You have a quorum, it's close. Let me tell you, AdCom. Yeah, you have to do a roll call. Yeah. I thought Brian on there and.
A motion to adjourn? Second. All right, let's see.
You're all muted.
Thank you. One more time. Michael?
Aye.
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 And online, we have Brian,
Aye.
Tina,
Jerry's on there too.
Jerry, we do. Jerry?
Jerry, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
He's muted again. Oh, it's a majority vote. We'll go.
It's a majority vote. I think it's okay. Let's
Thank
continue.
you.
All right, Select Board, I'll take a motion to, Board of Water Commissioners, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the Board of Water Commissioners.
Second.
All those in favor, Liz?
Aye.
Julie?
Aye.
I'm an aye as well. Motion carries unanimously. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for
Thanks for your
being here.
comments. Thanks for your feedback.